Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Hot Rod Barbecue. On this episode, we welcome back Neil Tjin of Tjin Designs. Now, for those that don't know, last time Neil was here, we started talking about our Dodge Durango Hellcat track support vehicle that we're actually building for SEMA. And Neil is the designer of this vehicle. So, Neil, how you doing, man?
Tired, but good.
Yeah,
you look good, even though we spent 4 days together, but
yeah,
good, excited, happy with the content, super ecstatic about the build, and grateful to spend time with you and keep doing what we do.
Yeah, man. It's been fun. To give you guys a little backstory, we came up with this idea. Hemmings came up with this idea to build a race support vehicle, I don't know, back in May. We then purchased a Durango Hellcat after searching high and low for one in July, to which I then drove it across the United States, went down to Southern California with it, dropped it at Neil's, and from then we started to rip into this thing and really make a custom one-off race support vehicle. And over the last, what was it, July, August, September, October, the last 4 months, we have really kind of transformed this thing. And, you know, we filmed a 6-part series on it. In fact, episode 1 is already up on the Hemmings YouTube channel, which you can go check out. And at this moment, well, when you guys are hearing this, episode 2 will have just launched. So feel free to go to the Hemmings YouTube channel, check out episodes 1 and 2. I think you'll really dig it. And again, it's 1 and 2 of a 6-part series. The whole goal with this thing was, you know, everybody is doing overland builds, right? Everybody in the, you know, past, it seems like 3 or 4 years has bought a truck, jacked it up to the moon, put 37s on it, king shocks, and done this, you know, crazy, let's go bomb through the desert. I don't do nature. I'm not a nature guy. I do tarmac and asphalt. And so that's where this came from. And so when I got started talking to Neil about this thing, he's like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I know what you want. And then we started doing this. So Neil, talk a little bit about how the ideas that I gave to you kind of came to fruition in your mind. Like, what did you think when I first told you what Hemmings wanted to build?
Again, I was excited. I got to stop real quick. I'm laughing about your nature. We got to tell the audience we're in Joshua Tree for 3 days, and there was a tarantula like this big.
Yeah.
And Mike, so that was a funny scene. But no, I think it's what we talked about in the episodes. This was almost the perfect culmination between our 2 styles, builds, demeanor, the whole 9 yards. Like, I built JDM cars, show cars, cars for Porsche, of course, Ford, and now Dodge. And like you said, even 2 years ago, pre-COVID, I did a couple off-road Land Cruisers, and they're cool. But like you said, they're a dime a dozen. And when you came up with this idea of race support, and I think we talked about it in our first podcast, I used to work for Naira. I used to work for NDRA. So I've seen both sides, but I've also seen it from going to the track. You know, I grew up in Miami, going to Moroso.
Right.
So I was able to jump into your brain and say, okay, Mike's pulling up with the Daytona to the gate at Moroso.
Yeah.
Where do you go? You see May. May says you go park in the pits. That's away from the track. So I started thinking, okay, you got this amazing vehicle. We got to the track. It was fast. It could tow. The reason we picked the Durango. But then when you get to the track, I need my toolbox. I need my lighting. Something super fun, which you'll see. We got you your own custom Mike Musto e-bike from Super 73. So, okay, you don't want to walk in the hot sun. So I just thought of everything. And like you said, what I like, it's not a slam truck like my Lightning.
No.
It's not off-road like the Land Cruiser. It's a nice mix, a lot of power. I'll show you talk about it, 700-800 horsepower.
Yep.
Great suspension, wheels, brakes, tires. And then everything you wanted to look good. The interior had to be comfortable as you drive cross country.
Yep.
So big thanks to Cat Skin to make that work. And then the cargo glide with your toolbox, your power tank, your jack stands. I had to think of all that for you. Make it functional, make it look cool. And I mean, I'm thinking right now in my mind the drive home yesterday.
Yeah.
How you were ripping it down, the 91, everything stayed in place. It looks bitchin'.
Well, That was the biggest thing, right? I mean, the one thing was Dodge did an amazing job with the Hellcat Durango.
Yeah.
That you didn't really, from a performance standpoint, we did do some direct connection stuff on this thing, which people will see in the video series. I'm not going to reveal it yet.
Yeah.
But it comes stock with 710 horsepower and 645 pound-feet of torque. Now, is that a lot of power? Well, sure it is. But you got to remember the truck is about 5,600 or 5,700 pounds stock. It makes for the perfect kind of support platform because one, it'll tow 8,700 pounds, which is best in class. It's just fantastic, right? So when Neil and I first started talking, and I think this goes along with any build that you are doing, whether it's your first hot rod, whether it's a track support vehicle, whether it's an off-road vehicle, you have to think about what you are actually doing. What is the purpose of whatever the vehicle is that you're building, right? Is it more for show? Is it more for go? Does it have to be fully functional? Is it utilitarian? So when Neil and I started talking, it was absolutely everything on this truck has to function as it should. We cannot compromise towing. We cannot compromise power and speed. We cannot compromise handling, right? When we started talking about incorporating a roof rack and lights and tools with a cargo glide system. And for those that don't know, cargo glide system is really slick. It's you open the back hatch of the Durango and it's literally a massive workbench that pulls out to extends about maybe 4 feet, 4.5 feet out the back of the Daytona. It'll hold 1,000 pounds worth of cargo. So we knew we were going to add some weight to this thing. We probably added about 600 pounds total to the Durango, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about that and you go, okay, well, how is that going to affect performance? Well, if you start with a vehicle that overperforms out of the gate, right, you're not losing performance because, oh no, it won't do 0 to 60 in 3.5. It'll do it in 3.8. How terrible, right? But I think going to Neil and having him bake in the versatility and the functionality, that was the biggest thing that I was worried about. And you guys will see the truck it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think your biggest thing, 2 key points you touched on, that the audience will see at SEMA and through the builds, the videos, even the suspension we talked about, like in the rendering, it was going to be really low. We ended up working with IBOC to only drop it a certain amount, inch and change. So it works. Like even yesterday, you can't see, you were driving on the freeway. It's got to be functional, but it's not tucking, but it's pretty close to those Falcons. So that's something we have to think about. Yeah, do we want to slam it? But then does it rub? Can it not tow?
Exactly.
You're driving cross country. So I think that was one variable that's very real, something we had to consider. What size tire? And the other thing, like you said, we did the custom exhaust, the direct connection, but you even noticed that we added about 600 pounds, and that's not including your bike or your Thule bike rack. So you're maybe closer to 700.
Yeah.
So now you work with direct connection, your plug and play. It compensates for the weight.
Correct.
So I think that's cool too, that people, they don't think about. They're like, build a cool car. I think you and me discussed this yesterday on camera. Communication was key because I had to keep you in mind. What did you want and how functional was it going to be?
Right. And I think, Hemmings has done a lot. We've been drag racers for a million years, right? We have our Musclepalooza show and that's all drag racing. But we just wrapped a series with the Camaro that we turned into kind of an autocross / track car. Now it's when I've got my Daytona that's coming. That'll be at SEMA as well. We needed a vehicle to get these things to and from every place. And we wanted something fun. And the other thing is we wanted to create something that was a little outside the norm, that readers of Hemmings would probably go, what the hell are they building that for? But their kids and their grandkids will look at that and go, you know what? I'm digging this. I like this. This is what I wanted to see for a long time. So to branch out like that and start to build and construct vehicles where the audience questions is something that I like a lot. And I think that when everybody starts to view the Durango and what we've actually done with it, I think it's going to be a mix. I think you're going to get those that go, this was a great idea. And you're going to also get those who be like, I can't stand this, which is fine because it's not supposed to be for everyone, right? It's a purpose-built machine to do some very specific tasks.
Yeah, I think it's what we've always talked about. You're not going to please everyone, which is perfectly fine with you and me.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that the viewers, the readers, and our fans are the people we interact with at SEMA, they're going to respect three things. The build, the Dodge, because it's an SRT, it's fast, it's safe, it handles well. The partners products, we put the best.
The best of the best around that truck.
Yeah, and then the quality of the build. You might not like it, and I understand that. We've talked about this, low riders, hot rods, tuners, Porsches.
Yep.
They're going to have to respect the build quality, the make and model, and the parts. That you can't hate on that, because we went above and beyond to get you and Hemmings and Dodge the best possible partners, the coolest custom stuff, the fabrication, everything on that side that you wanted. I think there's no debating that part of the build.
So let's talk about the fabrication for a little bit,
Yes,
because
sir.
I want people to understand this. Nothing on this car. I mean, yes, the ancillary parts. When I talk about ancillary parts, I'm talking about like the lighting system. I'm talking, which really isn't, and we'll talk about that in a second. But like, yes, you could buy the wheels. Yes, you can buy the wonderful power tank. Yes, you could buy the jack and the tools. But the amount of fab work, one-off custom fab work that was done was fantastic. So for instance, when you see the truck in its done form, you will see that we have brush guards, front, rear, and side. You will see that we have a cargo rack on the roof, the cargo glide system in the rear. These are all things that are truly hand fabricated for this truck. And the reason we did that is because we wanted people to see something they've never seen before, right? On a platform that's never been done before in the fashion that we've done it, right? That takes an enormous amount of time. The amount of cutting, the amount of welding, the amount of shaping, the amount of powder coating and fitment and refitment and refitment it takes such a long time. Then we talk about the production aspect, meaning the filming of the series. And you're in there and you know what? The shots and everything look beautiful. That takes time. That takes hours upon hours of studio lighting, of retakes, of setup and teardown and this and that. A 14-hour day on a film shoot is a pretty normal occurrence, right?
Yeah.
And, it's very funny because when you work with these people over the course of 4 months and you really develop relationships and you see what goes into a production like this. And I'm very excited for everybody to watch the YouTube series and see it. I think they're going to dig it. And I'm really curious to see their opinions on.
Yeah, there's a lot you said there. On the production side, it's a whole different animal. We have to build it, the partners, the phone calls, the you and me communicating, and then
the text messages.
Yeah, so there's a lot into that. But going back to your first point, what I like about this build, there are some bolt-on pieces, but we customize it.
Right.
Like Brian built the deluxe roof rack, but we used a Thule awning. So a little bit of both. Wheels, yes. I worked with Jeremy at Boston. They do make them for the SRT. But then we work with Falcon, and no one knows this yet. You have a tire that doesn't exist in the States right now.
Right.
That has to be air freighted. 5 of them.
Right.
So a nice mix. Ibach makes you one-off suspension. A good point is cat skin. Yes, it's cat skin seats, but we work with Mopar, so you still have a custom piece by cat skin.
That's a licensed product.
A licensed product. So things like that are really cool for me. And then, the conversation started with your color. You had this color in mind. We wanted, a stock Dodge color. We couldn't get it. Then we wanted to match Hemmings' color. It didn't fit the material. And like you said, you met with Josh. So even the color,
everything
had to be custom.
Right.
But then, as you saw yesterday at the wrap shop, the material had to be custom.
Everything. Yeah. Everything is custom. And I think that, it's when you see the finished product, you go, oh, this is cool. This is great. I love this aspect. I love that aspect. I'm going to give everybody a perfect example. We had talked about a lighting system. We have this amazing, the biggest light bar Rigid makes is on this truck with 3 ancillary lights that on the back of a one-off custom roof rack. And the roof rack was purpose built. It's the only one in existence for this particular Durango. It was constructed to hold a certain amount of weight with certain amount of tie downs that could be used for gas cans and mounting points and all this other stuff. But the lighting system is interesting because anyone who's ever rigged a lighting system on top of a truck or a vehicle knows 9 times out of 10, you're drilling holes in your car to run the wiring. Now, did we do that for the roof rack? Yes, we did, because the Durango SRT Hellcat does not come with a rack. We put one on there. But I didn't want to drill 14 holes in the roof of this thing. So we started talking and run the wires. So we started talking about stuff. And all of a sudden, you know, you look at your phone and you take it for granted. You go, well, my phone pairs to everything. It's Bluetooth. There's got to be some kind of system. So we came up, Neil came up, and Red came up with a Bluetooth lighting system that I believe is going to be one of the first of its kind, that we can utilize our lighting system on the vehicle completely hands-free, no wiring, completely encased in its own separate power source that can be turned on and off through your phone or via Bluetooth module located in the cabin. It's innovation like that, which I really, really love. And at day's end, it's really kind of speaks to what SEMA is about, right? It's about seeing the innovation that you could bring to the table and literally just sitting down over a bag of gummy bears and going, well, how the frick can we make this work without drilling 15 holes? And more often than not, the answer is right in front of you. And in this case, it was a phone, but we just had to put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the funny part of the story is, and I know you're tired, you forgot about the solar. So it's
the solar. There you go. How was it powered, dude?
Yeah. It's all powered by solar. So that was big for me too when you drive cross country, when you're at the racetrack. And then another thing you forgot to mention, it's all removable. So you can, it's in a waterproof case. It'll be fully removable at the racetrack, at your hotel. But just funny story. Like I said, we went to dinner with Jonathan, who just happens to be a friend, works at the shop.
A friend, that's right.
And we just start spitballing.
Start talking. That's right.
And one thing leads to another. We order parts. And I think that's the coolest part about, like you said, builds and SEMA. What I'm most excited about is in the Dodge booth, you sitting there, me sitting there, talking to people. Because one thing that you do know about me and my builds, they're pretty clean. So you have to look. I think it was in episode 4, the exhaust. You took a look at the custom, embedding we did for you.
Yes. Yep.
I think that's the best part of SEMA, the details. You're going to sit there and you're going to be like, oh, the light bar goes with the contours. Oh, the rigid spotlights are brand new. They're 4 inches, X inches apart. I think when people start really diving into the build, they're going to be like, oh, damn. And it was quick.
Oh, yeah.
And it was documented, which
that's right.
Anybody who films, that takes double your time.
Correct.
And the crazy part is we're 11, 12 days before SEMA.
Yep.
And we're pretty much done, which
is
unheard of in a SEMA build.
That's right.
So
and not only that, this is not a trailer queen. We're driving this car to SEMA. This truck will never see a trailer because it doesn't need to. Right.
Dude, let's be honest. I don't want to curse on your podcast. You beat the living bleep out of it, road testing it this weekend.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? It's a Durango Hellcat. It was built to be beaten. Right.
Yeah, and our partners knew that. The wheels, the tires, suspension, like you said, the way the roof rack was made so it doesn't make noise, which you'll see in the episode.
That's right.
The 5th wheel has to be secure. The battery has to be secure. The solar panel, we had to call them to make sure it can go up to 180 miles an hour. The gas canisters, the way they laid down and were secured.
Correct.
All those things play a factor. Like you said, no. And I think I put this, I guess I watched the episode last night, episode 2, which drops tomorrow when we go live.
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Yeah. I drive my SEMA cars. That's what you about me. You can't drive your best to show Ford. Why not?
Well, but that's the difference, I think, between you and so many others. I mean, you know me. I don't own a truck. I don't own a trailer. If my cars are there, they've been driven. So that was the biggest thing. This has to be function first It has to work. Every aspect. And for those of you who have never been to SEMA, I truly believe you should attend it at least once. It is an amazing, the world's best car show for the aftermarket. You'll see stuff you've never seen. But the thing about SEMA, and we always joke about it, is most of the cars there, I'm going to say 70% of the SEMA cars there don't work, right? They're not finished. They have to be
or don't
done,
work properly.
or don't work properly. And when I say properly, I mean everything has to function properly, meaning if you have wheels and tires and you have to make a full lock-to-lock turn, nothing is going to rub. If you have to go up an incline, you're not going to bottom out. When you're driving down the road and you hit a pothole, nothing bangs against the suspension. Nothing bangs against the body, right? When you open your doors and turn the lights on, your alternator, your voltage doesn't drop because it's an underpowered voltage system that's just underpowered for the accessories that you have. There is so much thought and time that goes into stuff that when Neil and I spoke, that was foremost. It has to work. I don't want to be in this thing in the middle of the desert or at a racetrack, especially at a racetrack, and not be able to do what the truck was designed for. And so when Neil started talking about partners, what do we need? Right? Well, an air compressor will be great. Okay, well, there's a company called Power Tank that makes these amazing self-contained air tanks that can fill, was it 300 tires, something obscene. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But it's compact. It fits in the back of your vehicle or on your vehicle, however you want to stow it. There are tools, there are accessories, there are components out there that you might not think exist, but a lot of times they do, but people just don't look for them. They just say, well, that doesn't exist, so I can't do it. I was under the impression that stuff like this didn't exist. Neil, on the other hand, is like, oh no. He's like, we're making this happen.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting when you find somebody that can take your idea, can help bring it to fruition, and then helps you identify partners that also bring it to fruition. Because listen, any of the aftermarket, they spend so much time and so much effort getting their parts to market and making sure they work. This is the time when you can utilize and showcase them to the public. And we're so excited to do it with this truck.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you said is dead on. I think what I like about SEMA too, like you said, besides the best of the best, the new cars, it's being able, we've been fortunate. I think I told you this before. We've been fortunate enough to learn from others. I think we talked about this yesterday. Never be too cool to learn, but it's nice to give back. You know, when we go to SEMA, now you could talk about the solar and the batteries and the Bluetooth product that's coming out. You know, you could talk about the power tank. You could talk about the lightweight Vossens. You could talk about the new FK460 Falcons that, again, you have the first set in the States. You could talk about how did you come up with this color? How did Josh and Crystal mix our two colors to get the perfect color wrap?
Exactly. Right.
I think that's what's cool. How did Adam and his team build the bumpers, you know? And then even on the backside, as our videos are playing in the booth, how much work went into writing the script? Went into you and me co-hosting.
Whole nother ball game, bro.
A whole nother ball game. How much time did Jen and Jose and their team put in? It's like there's so much that goes into it. And I think the funny part that you and me said to the staff yesterday, once we get to SEMA, that's the sigh of relief.
SEMA is, most people think that the SEMA show is for anybody that constructs or builds anything, is the most, that's the anxiety part. No, we've already hit anxiety level. We've already hit DEFCON 1.
It's getting to SEMA.
Getting to SEMA. And once you're at SEMA, and listen, the Durango will be showcased in the Dodge booth at SEMA. My 69 Red Eye Power Daytona will be next to it. Neil and I will be there. Come by the booth. Ask us questions. Look at the truck. Give us your opinions on what you like and what you don't like. With that said, again, full build series on YouTube at the Hemmings YouTube channel. I'd love for you to go there. I would love for you to leave as many comments as you'd like, and please be specific regarding what you like, what you don't like, and how you as an individual, as an enthusiast, if you don't like something, don't just say, I don't like this. Don't be a jackass. Say, I don't like this because I don't agree, or I don't think. Give me a reason, because if you just hate to hate, well, then piss off. I don't want to deal with you. But if you could give me an educated answer as to why you don't like something, I'm all in. Neil is all in. The public makes what we do better by giving us feedback, but you got to be constructive. Got to be constructive.
And
right?
ask questions,
Yes.
building on what, ask questions in the comments or on our IGs or at the show, because we went through it. We've talked to the partners. We figure out what's the best, what works, doesn't. Then we can give back. And that's what I like about SEMA too. A lot of people come up to us. Like Mike said, the Dodge booth, prime location, center hall, big ass green truck, cool stance. Come ask. We're going to do some cool, I don't even tell Mike, maybe a little couple of cool giveaways to our fans. Yeah. Very limited. We'll be dropping some more on the podcast and on our IG pages, Hemmings' page. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's coming up quick.
Yeah.
But it's been, like I said yesterday, I was so honored, proud, humbled to be, work with you, do this build, work with Dodge and Hemmings. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have 5-6 days in Vegas, talk to different people, Durango, Dodge fans, car enthusiasts, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So with that said, I mean, this is a little bit of a shorter podcast, but I really wanted to have Neil on and just talk a little bit about what kind of our experience was with the build, with production, and really kind of try to generate questions from the audience as to, if you have any question about a build in general, I don't care what it is, leave it in the comments. Myself or Neil will answer it for you. If you need some advice on something and we feel it's constructive and we can give you the right advice, or what we think is the right advice, we will do that for you. But engagement for us is the biggest thing, right? We want to hear from the audience. We want to hear what your thoughts are, what you have to say. If you are building something, if you're building a track car, or an off-road truck, a hot rod, it doesn't matter. And you want suggestions, or you just want to bounce ideas off our big old heads, let us know. That's why we're enthusiasts. This is not a hobby for us. This is what we do. This is our lives. And we live it every single day. Like Neil will tell you flat out, if he is not working on a car, he's thinking about working on a car or a truck, right? If I am not working or producing or doing something like that, I'm thinking about working or producing. It's what we do. We're engrossed in it. Take advantage of what we can give and advise. And the other part is, hell, like Neil said, we don't know everything. If you can advise us, drop it. Drop some bombs. Let us know.
You have to. It's like you said, we were fortunate enough to learn. I mean, even yesterday talking to you in the car about all the Dodge stuff you do and about Kevin and his team, and then Adam and my team. And when you come in, you're like, oh, this is possible. It's the only way the industry gets better. It's Correct. The only way we got to where we are. And like you said, questions, suggestions, just honestly talking in the booth, having a good time, showing the people the car and why we did certain things. I think that's what makes these so much fun. And like you said, we're always thinking, we just wrapped yesterday. I still have a couple of cars for SEMA. But what we're talking about at dinner, we're thinking about the next one.
What are we doing next?
About how do we make, and it's like, we've learned from this one, how do you make the next one even better?
Right.
That's the most exciting part, because we haven't even hit SEMA 2022. You and me are thinking about SEMA 2023. But it's the only way the industry keeps building. Because if you're stagnant, or like you said yesterday, if you think you're too good, you don't want to ask questions, you know everything, and you don't want to keep going, that's to me when the industry dies.
Correct.
You got to keep progressing for the next generation. We're a little bit older, the 20s, the 30s.
Yeah.
Our teenage kids, they will take over when hopefully you get retired sitting in Fiji. But then the industry gets better and better over time.
Correct. So with that said, Neil, where can everybody find you? What are your social handles? Give everybody an idea, aside from being able to see us both at the SEMA show in the Dodge booth and the Hemmings booth. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so the best way to interact with me is at Tjin Edition, which is TJIN and then Edition, Edition on IG. I'm always on. We posted a bunch of teasers of the shoot yesterday.
Yep.
So go on there. I answer questions. You're like me. We're super busy, but we're built to interact. We're built to respond. It's probably not always good and healthy, but any questions, even this morning, you know, we did some posts. We were talking to people. So yeah, and like I said, at SEMA, you're a little bit bigger, a little scarier than me, but no, come talk to us. And also, we walk around. You and me, we don't stand still very often, but we'll be in the Dodge booth. We'll be walking around. We've got some other builds. If you see us, stop us. We're not gonna bite.
Right.
You maybe. I'm not biting anybody. We love talking. You know, we're there too. We're setting up Saturday to Monday, but Tuesday to Friday when it's open,
come up.
Stop by. Or if we're setting up, if you're a vendor or one of our buddies, you know, stop us and let's chit chat.
Yeah, definitely. So, and there you go, folks. And I mean, you know, obviously I'll throw this out there, as we are Hemmings, we have such a huge marketplace and an amazing auction. So if you are looking for any car to modify, we've probably got it for you. So take a look at Hemmings.com and let us know what you think. If you've got questions, concerns, just drop it in the comments and we'll answer it. Otherwise, SEMA, first week in November, Las Vegas, Nevada. We will be there with the Hellcat Project Rampart Durango. Stop in, say hello, and that's it, folks. So we hope to see you soon. And please drop your comments, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Always a pleasure. See you in
10 days.
Yeah, we'll road trip to Vegas, set up, have a good time, and celebrate.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you, sir. I'll see you
soon. You got it. Thanks for listening, folks. And again, please subscribe to the Hot Rod Barbecue podcast. If you're on Spotify, check us out there. Subscribe to it on iTunes. And if you are going to go to YouTube, make sure you go to the Hot Rod Barbecue podcast and hit that subscribe button. And we'll come to you every week.